Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today I am very excited to be covering Ladies of London, Season 2, Episode 4, One Royal Hangover. I love Ladies of London. I am so enjoying this recap. I don't know, well, I do know why. This is so special to my heart. I love it. I love the ladies. I love talking about this show, and I just thought this episode was pretty darn good. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, I just want to take a second and say if you're enjoying this show, please check out my Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search Real Housewives Recaps, or check the comments below and I'll put a link. And for $1 a week, you can support my show and get 4 bonus episodes per month. I'm covering Scary Island, like the greatest season of Real Housewives of New York. So check it out. Thanks so much. So if you remember on the last episode, we're picking up with the New Year's party. It's Juliette versus Caroline Stanbury. I feel like I don't think Caroline did anything wrong here. I really don't. I think Juliette was drunk. She overreacted. If you remember, Caroline was Juliette says straddling, but she wasn't really even doing that. She's just standing over Gregor, dancing in a unicorn outfit. My thinking here is, all right, Gregor's a grown-up. If he didn't feel right or he felt like she was crossing the line, he could just be a gentleman about it and excuse himself or go to the bathroom or something. But I don't know. I just didn't think it was that big of a deal. But I will say when Juliette kind of calls Caroline out on it, you can see her flip and get pissed. Which I guess I would too if somebody accused me of trying to straddle their man when you're just drunkenly dancing around, whatever. Anyway, now let's talk about this. Sophie is here. Sophie, I did not love in this episode because, even though I agree with Caroline Stanbury in that it was nothing, I didn't think that Sophie was being very nice to Juliette. She's like, your husband loved it, That's my British accent, by the way. Sorry to my UK friends. Anyway, but here's the thing. Sophie shows up more, I guess next season. She's actually a main cast member, and I love her. And a little side note, Sophie did a podcast. Hold on, I'm stalling while I pull it up. Sophie did a podcast with Caroline Fleming. And it's really funny, you guys. Let me see. Hold on. It's called Keeping It Real by Caroline and Sophie. So if you look up Keeping It Real, you'll find it. It's pink. So they do not post very often, I'll tell you that. It's like once a month at that. But it's actually a pretty funny podcast because Caroline Fleming is just on another planet. Like, she's one of those that, I don't know where she lives. She's just different, and she's fun, and she's rich, and I think she thinks everybody else is rich, and she's just one of those. It just kind of cracks me up. But Sophie's very down to earth. I find her fun to listen to, and I enjoy her. I'm just saying in this episode, I did not enjoy her, and I don't remember feeling like that with her because I really like her. Okay, let's continue. So it's back and forth. Juliette goes back up to try to make amends. I think she hates falling out with Caroline Stanbury, but it's just not. They're all too drunk. It's New Year's Eve, and they're all wasted, as you should be on New Year's, and they're at this hotel, and they're trying to have a serious discussion, and even Marissa realizes this isn't going to go well, and Caroline Stanbury saying it's a joke, and anyway. Okay, so next morning, we see Julie Sandwich. I never remember her real last name, so I'm just going to call her Sandwich. Doing yoga first thing in the morning, which, oh, God. After a night of drinking, really? Okay. So the rest of the women they feel like crap. They're all hungover. It's so funny to watch. I actually love the scene. And I'm really loving Marissa on the rewatch. Yeah, she's wrong in some stuff, but she just makes me laugh. This scene especially cracked me up because she comes to hang out with Annabelle and Julie, and she just has eye makeup smeared everywhere, and it's kind of hilarious and it makes me feel better because I'm like, oh, hey, that's me. But I just thought it was a fun scene. So she comes to talk to them, And they talk about Caroline Stanbury on the phone and talking about Julie doing yoga and Julie. Okay, so you remember Julie cried because at the dinner she tried to do a yoga pose, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so apparently she says, oh, that's what it is. So we're having pictures side by side of Caroline Stanbury on the phone. And she's saying, obviously the Americans are more emotional and sensitive than we are. And she doesn't understand what the big deal is, which I'm American, but I'm with her. I don't understand what the big deal is. I think they're all drunk. No big deal. I don't think she actually crossed the line, is my thinking. Marissa fills in Julie on the shouting match between Juliet and Caroline Stanbury because she didn't actually know about what happened with Gregor. So that was fun. Then we see Juliet. She's saying last night was out of control with shouting. I fought for no reason and it's time to move on. So we see that everybody comes over for brunch and Caroline Stanbury comes in. They're acting like everything's fine. And Caroline Stanbury says that's so Juliet to be like that. Sophie arrives. She's saying how uncomfortable it is after a boozy night. And they all talk about Julie crying. Julie blames not drinking much and then drinking a lot that night. Caroline Stanbury decides to, she didn't have to say this was kind of an asshole move on her part. She retracts her sorry. So what I mean is she apologized to Julie for making fun of the headstand thing, saying, oh, the instructor is slower to get up. And it's just so silly to be talking about this, but she said sorry for making her cry, but now today she's retracting her sorry. And she said, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, but I'm not sorry that I said, and then she trails off, and Annabelle says, if you say sorry, you have to mean it. I'm not going to watch Caroline Stanbury treating Julie with no respect. And so Annabelle leaves. So that's pretty much it. Nothing really gets resolved. It's kind of weird. So Juliet bugs me because even, I think she's wrong, but you can feel the desperation off of her to make nice with Caroline Stanbury. We go over to Caroline Stanbury, walking over to Caroline Fleming's house. They go for a walk with the dogs. And Caroline Stanbury's telling, this is hard to keep track. Caroline. Okay, Stanbury's telling Fleming about Juliet and Julie and the whole situation. And they're looking for a good fight. And Stanbury's just saying, oh my gosh. And oh yeah, and then it's funny. They realize that Marissa is in the Sunday Times. She says she's in the Sunday Times with a big sausage. And that made me really laugh. So they laugh about her being in the Times with a sausage. She's advertising her new restaurant, Top Dog, where they serve, what is it? I forget what it is. It's hot dogs. It's like a healthier option to a hot dog or something like that. But, okay, then we go over to Julie. She's on the phone with Annabelle. They're talking about the hot dog smile thing as well. Julie cracks me up because she's always pushing her Jub balls. She wants to get that kind of exposure for Jub, which means Julie's unbelievable balls. Oh, God, there's no better name than that. We see Matt and Marissa, and I cannot tell you why I'm attracted to Matt. I have no idea. He looks like a small man, too, and I don't know. I think just because he seems like a good husband and father, and he really cares about his kids, and it's cute because they decide to go take a walk and grab some coffee. They take the kids out, and while they're out, they grab a paper. They're laughing at the huge picture of Marissa with the hot dog, and she's stepping out from Matt's shadow with Top Dog. She says it's hers versus Matt has all these other places. So I enjoyed watching the two of them interact. I think they're cute together. It's a sweet moment, and he's excited for his wife who's, making this Top Dog. So then we go over to Gift Library. Luke is there with Caroline. She's talking about the unbelievable stress that she's under. And so if you remember, her numbers were she was hoping Christmas would keep them afloat with really good sales, but the numbers are worse than expected. Sales weren't there, and she's realizing she can't do it on her own anymore. Her wish or her hope is that a management team will come along and help her out and save her business. We see Juliet and Gregor. They're going to play tennis. Juliet's just kind of obnoxious. I just found her obnoxious in the scene. She says that she called Caroline Stanbury. They talked about the mess about New Year's Eve. And she says some apologies are in order. But she said that... Okay, so she didn't actually get to it. She said... Some apologies are in order, but it doesn't sound like she got any, so she's sweeping it under the rug. She just can't stand to be falling out with Caroline Stanbury. I think she's all about the social society, the social climbing. Caroline Stanbury is her ticket in. And I understand, she's American. She's not from there. She doesn't really have a lot of friends, it sounds like. So, of course she'd want to keep her friendship with Caroline Stanbury, but she just sometimes reeks of a little bit of desperation, in my opinion. We see Caroline Stanbury at home with her kids. She's saying it's hard because when she gets home from gift library with all the stress, she has to switch off from work, and she loves being with the kids, but she needs a romantic night out with her husband without the kids. So we see her husband, it's pronounced Jem, C-E-M, Jem, and she's explained, well, his job requires him to travel to Kazakhstan every 2 weeks, and she gets lonely. So again, I'm surprised. I guess that's one of the reasons that her and Juliet could bond, because Juliet's in a similar situation. They go out to dinner. They talk about New Year's, and Jim says he saw what happened, and he didn't see anything that was out of line. And Caroline Stanbury says, Juliet drives you to a place that you didn't know was possible. And if you're truly going on about this, I will wipe the floor with you and Gregor. Okay. So that's where Caroline kind of crossed the line a little bit. It sounds like she didn't like that Juliet accused her of, which it was BS, I know. But she hit back hard and threatened to wipe the floor with her and Gregor. She and her husband laugh about that. They talk about her work. And Jim was nice in this scene because he's saying, whatever you decide, it'll be fine. We go over to Caroline Fleming. She decided to raise her children in London away from her life back in Denmark. She didn't want to be around the Danish paparazzi. She goes back, she said, about every month. She loves to go home. She loves, because she can relax there. She's very close to her grandmother. She explains that she lost her mother at the age of 11, so her grandmother really stepped in. She said it's been a painful thing for the entire family. And so apparently her mom was not from her aristocratic background, but, she married into it. Her grandmother has always been there for her. So it's sweet to see these scenes where she's back spending time with her grandmother, taking care of her grandmother. And I like the grandmother. I thought it was a cute scene. So then we get to see Julie meeting up with Annabelle, and then eventually Juliet will join them. They're meeting for lunch. And Julie hasn't seen Annabelle since New Year's. So they start talking about Caroline Stanbury again, and Julie admits that Caroline Stanbury terrifies her. And we see Juliet arrive, and Julie is rehashing what happened at dinner, and then she tells Annabelle, she's talking about, Caroline Stanbury retracting the sorry, and they talk about what crap it is. And it's okay for her to put somebody else down because it's funny, but if someone else does it to her, it's not okay. And Annabelle asks Juliet, what happened with you? And Juliet says, well, I'm fine with her doing that, but you know what I mean? She's just kind of dancing around. That's what she says. She doesn't give a straight answer. And Julie says, I saw you the other day, and you said Caroline was saying terrible things about you. You told me she said she was going to wipe the floor with you and Gregor. And Juliet just has this frozen look of horror smile. Obviously, she didn't want that on camera. She didn't want it to get out. But it's out. She said, or Juliet kind of laughs and says, I'm pissed at Julie. You go and tell Annabelle? And Annabelle is asking, what are you worried about? And Juliet says, I know her actions are in good fun. So again, she's changing her tune. If you're going to be mad, be mad. She's kind of bowing down to keep the friendship with Caroline. I don't know. Keep kissing her ass, I guess. Annabelle says, you call someone the next day to talk about it, and they say, I'm going to wipe the floor with you, and that's in good fun. And Julie says, I don't understand why Juliet isn't telling the truth. Juliet is so much more worried about her relationship with Caroline Stanbury than anything else. And I thought Julie was pretty astute in that. Annabelle says there's, Caroline playing queen bee with a bunch of pawns behind her, and Juliet wants to be one of those pawns, and I think Annabelle is exactly right. That's exactly what I think it is too. Julie calls her out and says, it's like you're afraid of Caroline, and Juliet says, I'm getting pissed off, and I don't need Julie and Annabelle's advice on how to deal with Caroline. So that's how the episode ends. We do see a flash to next time. Looks like the gift library is still not doing well, unfortunately. She's trying to talk to Sophie about it. We get to see Caroline Fleming. She's talking about finding a new love. So we'll talk all about that. We go to Julie and her unbelievable balls. Oh, it's never not funny to me. And she's doing a presentation there. And then Marissa is trying to open Top Dog. And it looks like the girls are drunk. And Caroline Stanbury arrives. And her and Julie seem to be getting along, which really irks Juliet. And so it's Julie versus Juliet. They're fighting over Caroline, and it's kind of ridiculous and kind of hilarious. Yeah, so that is it for the episode. I really love watching these. I love talking about them. I hope you're enjoying the season as well. It's just fun to go back through all these episodes and relive them because it was such a good show. I really wish they'd bring it back. They're talking about bringing back Miami on the Peacock? So I wish they'd bring this back too. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Check out my other shows. Check out my Patreon. Doing all kinds of fun stuff over there. And I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and I'll talk to you really soon. Bye-bye.